Yesterday, hundreds of activists in 26 different locations sat in their state senators' offices around the country demanding that their senators not vote to repeal Obamacare and not vote for this better healthcare reconciliation, I'm probably getting that wrong, act. We're talking hundreds of activists. It was partly sponsored by Democracy Spring, Our Revolution, Democratic Socialists of America, Working Families Party. It was a pretty awesome sit-in, mass-coordinated sit-in. From Kai Newkirk of Democracy Spring, she said that what we want, or he said, what we wanted to do is dramatize and make as clear as possible the moral stakes of this fight. We've seen this bill and we know that if it passes, millions of people will lose health insurance, lives are on the line, and we've had to draw a line in the sand. So once again, I know a lot of people have been making calls, but this is what happens when people actually go meet their senators where they're at or where they're trying to avoid in the last few months. But pretty inspiring stuff.
Yeah. So there's a bunch of things that I love about this protest. One is how many progressive groups are working together, and these are all my rowdy friends. And I like that they got together for Thursday night.
Smackdown.
Yeah. So not only all the groups that Francesca named, but also local groups: Wisconsin Progressive Alliance, Resist St. Louis, Mobilize Missouri, St. Louis Democratic Socialists of America. Like in the old days, or what am I talking about? Old days? In the current days, with the groups that are on the left, but not really that progressive. Like if a Democratic Socialist group shows up, they all run screaming out of the building, like ah!
We're not with them.
Yeah, and with Nancy Pelosi screaming as she's leaving, we're capitalists and we're not gonna do single payer yet. I don't mind the capitalist part, but yes, do some policy, yes, do some protest. In the old days, again, not the old days, the current days with unfortunately, the majority of the Washington Democrats, when you say, let's go get arrested together because this is a civil rights issue, this is a civil disobedience issue, I know it happened. I mean, I got arrested with Democracy Spring that led this protest. We led a protest against money out of politics in Washington. It's the largest civil disobedience, most amount of arrests on the Capitol ever in US history. I know that the mainstream media couldn't stop talking about it. Okay, but it's true, we did do that. And when we asked other progressive groups to get involved, they were like, ooh, arrests, that's so, civil disobedience. I mean, that, I don't know.
What has that ever accomplished in American history?
Yeah, do we really need the fierce urgency of now? Can't we just take a little tranquilizing drug of gradualism? So to see all of these groups working together and rejecting the tranquilizing drug of gradualism and taking real action, direct action, led by Democracy Spring and Our Revolution, it's just so wonderful to see. Oh, and the DSA chapter of North Carolina, and the list goes on, and to see it all over the country is wonderful.
Yeah, and look, in the past, on a lot of issues, it's very difficult to get people sort of organized and active. There's a lot of forces trying to stop it. I mean, you will be attacked by the media generally for any kind of protest, but especially if you're on the left and you organize, you will be at best ignored, and at worst, like we could look back at Occupy Wall Street or something, they will twist everything you say and everything you do to make you look bad. And considering the urgency of this particular issue and how it is literally a life or death issue, it really gives me a lot of hope that from day one, I mean before day one, but from when the Senate bill was initiated, we showed you the footage of the activists for disability rights and protections being dragged out of the hallway in front of Mitch McConnell's office. I mean, there are people literally willing to be injured, as people were injured during that protest, to fight to protect their access to health insurance, but also other people's access. And so that's why we give a lot of credit to people like Bernie Sanders, who are leading rallies for the same thing. But we need to see more of this, and it's difficult. And there's a lot of people like on the right, like the NRA will take footage of these sorts of protests and say that this is leftists gone wild and this is extremists and they're dividing us. There's all these things that could lead a person to want to just stay home and accept what's happening in their country. And it's amazing that so few are actually doing that they're going out there and making a positive change.
I mean, I think also it's filling this void where the Democratic leaders like Schumer and Pelosi are saying that single payer is not the issue. Where in fact, actually, a lot of analysis is showing that this is the issue, that healthcare is going to be the wedge issue to win in 2020 or in 2018 and then in 2020. And move the Democratic Party to the left, move it in more progressive direction. Something that we just talked about with Bernie being in West Virginia and in Kentucky that cuts across party lines. But it's sad that you're not seeing that kind of leadership from Pelosi in a press conference, just out and out. No, I don't think that's the issue we need to be focusing on. Nuh-uh. It's like, no, it's not just defending Obamacare, it's going further because everyone knows that Obamacare doesn't go far enough, that it is too expensive, that it is, was just a baby step.
Yeah, so let me just elaborate on those 2 points real quick. One is that Nancy Pelosi says, well, I'm a master legislator, but I have not, and I'm theoretically in favor of single payer, but I've never fought for single payer and I refuse to fight for single payer now. I don't know if you know this, that means you're not for single payer. I want to be clarified for you because you're apparently having confusion with the words. Okay.
Can I just say that she said even worse than that? To this reporter, I wish I had this thought, but she said, believe me, this is a young reporter, I've been fighting for single payer since you were in diapers. And it's like, whoa, you just completely, so what you're saying is, you've now learned the error of your idealistic ways, and when you're in DC, when you're in Washington, you just have to sort of rein it in, bring it in line, move to the center, and get what done.
And by the way, it's also just factually incorrect. She's not proposed that bill. I mean, if you're a master legislator, as she claims, you would have proposed it and passed it. Sure. She's never proposed it, she's never backed it, she's never actually done anything when she was in power to fight for single payer. In fact, she punishes people who deviate from that orthodoxy that she wants to put forward, which is that we are not going to do single payer. The reason I bring that up is because now there's the world's dumbest talking point that Democrats need to do something to help the Republicans on healthcare. Why do they have to do anything to help them destroy Obamacare? That is so dumb. I can't believe the media repeats that like it's something real. But if they're gonna do that talking point, and CNN and all the mainstream media is gonna help them by saying, why aren't the Democrats helping to destroy Obamacare? Oh, it drives me crazy every time I hear it. Anyway, you know what you could say? Yeah, we've got a plan. Our plan is Medicare for all. And so that is very powerful. Medicare polls at over 70%. Medicare for all polls at 58%. So, but instead of running towards a popular program, the Democratic Party and Nancy Pelosi are running away from Medicare for all. Why? Because they're not stupid. It's not that they can't read poll numbers. It's that their donors don't want it, okay? And so that's why it's incumbent upon the people to take action.
Well, I would say that it polls at 58% with not that much national discussion of it.
And no one actually fighting for it other than Bernie Sanders and then obviously
some of the backers.
Serious discussion about it. How much, let's really look at the costs, you know, because estimates I know in California show that actually it would in fact be cheaper. We should be having these conversations on a national level.
Well, and look, I think if she was just being pragmatic, and I agree with you, I don't think that Nancy Pelosi is just being pragmatic on this, but like realistically, she can propose any bill she wants right now. It's not gonna be passed because it's not how the House works. But if there was an opportunity to get traction on this, you will never have a better opportunity than now because the country is paying attention to this issue. People are hyper focused on what's going to happen in the next few years on this issue. It might still be incredibly difficult. It might still be almost impossible, but it will never be more possible than it is right now. And so that is why you need to jump on this. And whether she does or not, other people are. I mean, look, Bernie Sanders is not backing down from it, of course. I think that she apparently learned nothing from the last election. If she wants to have the rest of her agenda sort of have a higher chance of passing, why not go with Bernie, who's out there, who hasn't been destroyed since the last election, who is still rising, still has people have his back. Why not use that?
And so finally, to pick up on John's earlier point, give credit to the people who deserve it. Kai Newkirk, who organized this, also said it was the people who did that original protest in front of McConnell's office and risked their well-being that inspired him. Yeah, that inspired him to organize this, and for all the other groups to agree to it so quickly, because they turned that around in like 2 weeks, which is amazing. I've organized things; it's very hard to do in that limited period of time. And then, most importantly, the people who actually went there and took action, and 43 people were arrested. look, that can affect their lives significantly. I don't want to downplay that. And those people said, yeah, I'm willing to take that risk because this is that important. And it is. In the case of healthcare, it's literally a matter of life and death. So to everybody who showed up at those protests, thank you for standing up for all of us when our so-called representatives oftentimes do not. Watch the Young Turks commercial-free, download it or stream it, watch it any way you like at tytnetwork.com/join.